So, alright, welcome to Scrapyard Choppers. I'm Ronnie Danger. TJ's out there buffing. I'm going to show you how to make a car rim, such as this, fit on the back of a bicycle. Now, I'm doing it a little different than what most people do it, because I'm actually just going to bolt that rim on. Well, actually, I can't say most people. I've seen a lot more people bolt the rims on than the way they used to do it. Now, if you want really in-depth plans, Atomic Zombie is where we got these plans. Originally, back in the day. I don't even know if Atomic Zombie is still around. If it is, I'm going to link it down below so you can go buy the plans for this. So, what you want to do is get yourself a rim. 26, it doesn't matter what size, 20 inch. All that matters is this has to be steel. So you're going to cut off all the spokes, get them all out of there. Then you're going to cut this in half, right down the middle. After you cut it in half, you're going to want to take yourself about 1.5 inch piece of conduit, and you're going to want to weld 1/2 on this side and 1/2 on wherever you cut it. You're going to want to measure the width of your wheel and cut it, and weld the other half on the other side. Now, what else you got to do is you got to cut your axle in half and stretch your axle. You can't just use a piece of threaded rod, because you want to be able to bolt or put your nuts that retain your bearings on both sides. So you keep all your stock bearings pretty much. This bearing is still going to go back in this side. Everything's still going to roll on it. You can also put back your brake lever, all the stuff that goes inside the axle or inside your hub here. You can put it all back in. All you got to do, like I said, cut one of these in half and stretch it to your length. Now, that's the way you're supposed to do it. I'm doing things a little differently. So what I'm going to start with is by turning out the sprocket side and the other side of the hub so a press sealed bearing can fit in there. First pass.
Getting all YouTubed on me?
You're gonna be a YouTube famous, Bob. Gotta start sometime. How much are you taking at a time? 10?
Thousands.
1,000's over.
Now for this troublesome.
Yeah, I was thinking just clamp it on the ring.
Just not really there. Try this. This don't work. I don't know how the hell they do that. Some sketchy stuff here, Ron. It's crooked as shit.
That don't look too bad. Yeah, we have no idea if this is gonna work, but we're gonna try it.
There's nothing to hang on to. It's not that far off.
For a hand-built bicycle and no jig, it'll be plenty fine. So as you see, we're getting the other side turned out now. Now, you do not have to use press sealed bearings or get this turned out. I just happen to really like them, because they last a little longer than just a regular bicycle bearing. A regular bicycle bearing lasts 4 or 5 years depending on how much you ride, how heavy your bike is. I've had really good luck with press sealed bearings, and my buddy Bob here has a machine shop, so why not?
Just YouTubing away, eh?
Yep. In case that fucker flies off and takes your eyeball out, I want to have it on film.
Thanks. See how hard it is?
Yeah,
There you go. That one's real nice.
yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now I'm back to my shop, and I'm marking the rim on where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut both these rims in half, so either way you look at it, it looks like a Krieger. I found a ruler that was the same thickness as the piece of steel I'm going to use, which is like a, I don't know, 1/8 inch piece of steel. And I'm marking it all the way around, and I'm being very careful and trying to keep it on the flat part in the middle where the lug nut bolt that to hold the wheel down. That's pretty much where I'm measuring everything off of. Well, there, I got it marked. It's not perfect, but it should be good enough. Now you may be asking yourself, why am I going to cut this on the inside instead of the outside? I can measure from that mark to here and transfer the mark around. The problem is with this angle right here, I feel like it's going to be really hard to cut it straight by hand. And I have a better chance of coming in with the grinder and slowly working my way around here and doing it a lot better. Yeah, I'm a little nervous because these are getting a little hard to find now. Yeah, let's just do it. So now that I got my rims all marked, I realized before I want to cut this, I actually want to cut this piece of steel out first. Now, I know that that's about 7 inches all the way around. I've been searching for something that size, and well, I mean, I could just knock a hole and then draw a circle. It's only 3.5 inches, something like that, from the center to the outside. But then I found that my new blade for the chop saw turns out to be about the right size I need. So I'm just gonna lay it on here. Of course, lay it in a corner so I don't use that much material. And then I need to really have a center point. So I found a washer. Fits in there. And I just draw the center point, and I know I gotta use my hole saw to go through the center of that. And then, yeah, it should be perfect. So I'm gonna get to cutting. So unfortunately, I don't have a plasma cutter. I have some buddies that have one, but I didn't feel like borrowing one. So I just got out my grinder and made a circle with it, basically. I mean, it didn't have to be perfect because the circle, you don't really see it. So I just got out and sliced around it. I've done it many times before, and I'm pretty good at it. Torches would heat it up too much, and I was afraid it was going to warp it. So now that I got that cut out, I'm going to go to cutting out the rim. I cut out the flat piece of steel first so I can use it to set on the rim to make sure it's going to be where I want it, because I want that to be the spot where the two rims touches. So that means where I'm cutting has to be lower than that. And then you can see also I drilled the hole in the middle. I used the hole saw for that, nothing special. Here we are, cut in half. The other end's actually pretty cool. I like the way that looks. Might have to build a bicycle rim out of these. But let's try to put it together and see what happens. So there it is, double-sided Krieger. Now, I can still move this piece of steel around inside here. So I'm gonna have to grind both edges down. So I'll put the flapper disc on the grinder, go around both sides a bunch of times, and then just keep working it until it fits the way I want it to fit. I really want this to be tight. As you can see, there's a little gap down in there. So we gotta get rid of that gap. Then I gotta finish making that middle piece and then put it back together. And if it fits together with that middle piece right, bolt it together, then weld it up. So now we got the rims done. We gotta finish making our axle, which is this piece of wiring conduit right here. This slides over top of it. Perfect. Now we gotta cut our axle out of this. This slides in. Really good fit. Now it's stuck on there. So perfect. This is going well right now. Now, I've never used this chop saw before. TJ, who's holding the camera now, has. The thing about chop saws, they're not the straightest cutting things ever. The blades tend to walk. But no matter what, I want to make sure it's square.
Isn't that Jim's chop saw?
It is Jim's chop saw. Now we're squared up. You just hold the square against the blade and against the stop. Now we know we're square. It's really important for these edges to be straight. And then we come over here. See, we gotta figure out the length. I want it to stick out about 2 inches on each side. So we measure our tire. It's 18 inches, or sorry, 14 inches. So I'm gonna go 16 inches on length. It's also gonna be a little longer because I gotta weld the pieces on the end. So I already got my mark right here. All that's left to do is get the cutting. It's straight-ish. We need to make centerpieces to go to this ridge. If you look down in here, see a ridge? So we want to go from that ridge up to here. It's about a 1/2 inch. I don't know how good this saw is going to cut this, but we're going to give it a shot. This is the right size. Just be with it. I'll lower that down. That right there. How good do you think this is going to cut this thick stuff?
Yeah. It's not going down far enough.
Yeah. I see that.
I can see it plain as day in the camera.
Wonder why it's not going all the way down. I think it's hitting on this, ain't it?
I think so.
I think this chop saw blade is the wrong size for this chop saw.
Is it even made for a grinder blade?
I don't know. We gotta turn it. This has to be straight. This is just a...
Is that supposed to do that?
No. No. Well. Shit. Well, that chop saw is officially dead.
I wonder how many bikes chainsaw cut up with this.
I don't know.
We need 1 or 2 of those.
2?
Hey. I mean, we could break it open and we could put a hand crank on it.
Sorry, I got these rings cut after the damn chop saw died. I just cut them out with the grinder. I basically marked all the way around the tube, holding the other one up, and just rolled it around and marked it. That way I could cut a little bit at a time. When you're cutting by hand and you want it to be straight, you want to mark all the way around your tube and then only cut a little bit at a time. Don't sit on one side and try to slice all the way through because it's going to be crooked. Now I kind of got it laid on here. It's pretty straight. I've been taking a lot of time and measuring. I'm going to measure it one more time. Now when you're doing something like this and you know you got to weld this, clamp your negative on before you spend a bunch of time lining this up. Because otherwise you're about to do what I'm about to do, and that's mess it all up as soon as I clamp the negative on it. Yep, made that mistake. So it's just over a 1/2 inch all the way around. I gotta weld that on, and then I'm gonna flip it over and weld this one on. And the wheel sits on this. That centers it, and then measure half this axle, make a mark, send it all the way through, measure it on both sides, make sure it's square, and weld that into. Yeah. So then after that, we'll put it in the center of the rim, drill some holes, bolt it together, and then weld that together. And then all I gotta do is weld my ends on, and this is done. Almost there. So there we go. Both sides welded up. I had to go get welding wire. I hate when I run out in the middle of a freaking weld. So it don't look too bad. Now I gotta put this axle on. Got it marked where center is. I kind of regret doing it this way. I feel like I should have put the axle on and then put the rings on, because I could have used this as a flat spot for a square. So we're gonna have to figure this out. I got it marked all the way around. If we get this piece of steel in the center of the mark and then tack it on one side, then we can just use a square all the way around to get it. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I think what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah, I'll hold it and just tack it.
Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen. We're gonna get it tacked on one side and then we'll work it straight. Pretty centered?
I got red on the black on it. Pretty straight.
Oh,
Me.
I think. Eight and eight. 8 and 8. I'll get it straight from this side. Tell me what it says.
Alright.
What about this side?
Alright.
So here we go. It's pretty much finished. I mean, I gotta weld the ends on still, but I want to put it all together before I do that. As you can see, I have some electrical tape around it. It was a little bit loose, about 7 times around, and now it fits very snug. Let's check this out. Yep. I'm just gonna tap it down so it's nice and flat there. Then tap that one on and they'll be perfect up and down. Now, I'm gonna get that together and I'm debating on if I should push them together, weld it together, then drill holes, or drill holes, then weld it together. Take a moment to think about it. Write down in the comments below what you would do before you see what I'm about to do. Okay, so I got one on here. I'm gonna on this post, and I'm gonna drill this out before I put the other side on so I can clamp them together before I weld it. Now, I got a drill bit same size as those. My issue is getting it punched to be centered in that hole. So what I'm doing, I'm taking my big drill bit and I'm just making a little center punch with that. And then I'm gonna come back with a smaller drill bit and drill pilot holes. All right, so here we are. It's bolted together. Still gotta be welded. Man, this thing turned out freaking sweet. Double-sided Cracker. Now you may be looking at that and wondering what the heck is that? That is a soup can. Drilled a hole through the center of it. It locks into here. I think I'm gonna weld that, throw at least some tacks on the end so they don't move in and out. Well, it's bolted together. So you see there's a gap. I wanted a gap. That way I know these centers are back to back. That way I know it's square, basically. Yeah, it's dented and beat up and rusty, and it's perfect. I really like these. It turned out pretty cool. People are going to be like, who machined that? So I just got to weld this up, obviously. I'm going to throw 2 more bolts in it. I don't have any more big size. I really wanted these to make sure it stayed true to each other. And it's really squared up. This is going to be a badass bicycle. There ain't nothing like this. I'm excited. So up next, I'll get this all welded. And then it'll be done. Or weld the ends on, run the axle through, and then I can finally finish the frame. Sorry, yep, still not welded. Got that in though. So I'm sitting here looking at this, and I have an issue. It's kind of a big issue. I'll get my tape measure out. It's not even 7 inches wide. I measured it early on, but I measured it wrong. Well, I didn't measure it wrong. I knew what I wanted. I wanted these to be back to back. So here's what I'm going to do. This is plenty strong the way it is. It doesn't actually have to be welded. And that's a really big tire. So what I'm going to do is leave it 2 pieces. I'm going to take some rubber and put it on both sides all the way around. And then I'm going to do a tube and put a tube in this. I was going to do that anyways. And the rubber squished together will insulate the tube. There's no sharp edges or anything. So, well, that's a little sharp right there. I'm going to go over here. But anyways, I'll put the rubber on it. That way the tube doesn't try to push through this gap. And then I'm going to bolt it together with that tire in the middle. It's going to make this whole thing easier anyways, because putting this on with nothing, no machine, you can't do it with a machine, is what I'm trying to say. So bolting it together with tire in the middle is a pretty good solution for it, I think. And yeah, that tire will be on there, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't pop out. Oh, well, it is what it is. When you're doing something crazy, sometimes things like this happen. Let's see what happens. So here's where I'm at with the rim after I figured out that welding it together was not such a good idea. I got some rubber all the way around. I tried to get it as small as I could, as thin as I could. So I made this to cut it. Don't mind the welds, that's some really thin stuff. I really didn't clean anything up because it didn't really matter. But that's a razor blade welded to a nut that's the size of that tube. And I welded the razor blade so it's like halfway down, and I just pulled it through, and it's slotted it as I pulled it through. Honestly, it's really nice. I definitely will be making more of these to fit other sizes when I have to do other projects. So, I also got a tube right there. And the tire is cleaned out and ready to go. I'm thinking about, I clamped this to this. I think I'm going to weld it to this half of the rim. Because really I only need to bolt 1/2 in. And this is aluminum. And this is steel. But they're welded to each other. I don't know if this is got a lot of steel in this aluminum. I don't understand how they're together. If you know, leave in the comment below. How did they weld aluminum to steel? Because that's a weld right there. Is there a high steel concentrate in the aluminum that lets it weld? Either way, I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens if I weld this to this. Because really, I only need 1/2 to be able to come on and off to bolt a rim on. I already got my can on that side. So I'm going to give this a shot and see what happens. I get it all nice and clamped so it's straight. And then I'll go ahead and set the wheel on here with the valve stem sticking through to hopefully hold the tube out of the way. And then slide that end on it and we'll bolt it together and see how it turns out.
Whiskey and the rye was gone. Party, Richie and Baba ditch a plane for some Harley shoppers. Crash Coastal 8, this is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean died. Died. She never came home to me. She never alone in the sheets. I haven't seen my wife in 30 years. Not since she drank up all my beers. One day, and night stalkers like to hang round their meat lockers. I haven't felt safe out on my own. Not since Pogo the Clown came to town. This is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean, this is a day. Don McLean died. He died.
So, alright, now that the rim is done, that's the bearing. I don't have it all the way in because I don't want to press it all the way in. If I got this bearing in on this side to hold that, and then the bearing in on this side to hold that, and when I put the bearing in and bolt it together, it pulled this in nice and straight. The axle turns great. So now I'm going to tack weld both sides, pull the axle, pull the bearings back out, and then weld it. I don't want to get these bearings hot. It'll melt them and destroy them. So I'm just going to do a couple quick tacks on both sides. And now I know it's nice and straight. It's going to work perfectly. Lay a full bead of weld. And then the rear rim is completely done. And then time to make it work on that. So here it is, all welded up. All the way around. Axle's in it. Both sides welded. The axle turns really smooth. Pretty easy to turn. I ended up messing this side up a little bit. I melted right there. So I had to go back in with that thing and clean it up. It fits pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Now I just got to finish the bike. It's going to be a bit of work getting this done, but I got like 3 days left to do it. No big deal. So that's next.